Hello, my name is Klint Peebles, and I am the Advocacy Committee Chair for the Medical Society of the District of Columbia. I want to thank you for joining me as we briefly talk about a critically important and timely topic that impacts all of us as physicians in the district, and that is prior authorization. This year, we have an opportunity to make significant inroads on reducing prior authorization burdens in the district, but we can't do it without each and every single one of our members' voices. And that's exactly what today's session is about. So the physician voice is critical on this issue, and an overview of what we'll be talking about today would be how to really prepare a message of support. And the first step is to look up your council members' contact information, whether that be their phone number or their email address, and we'll talk about how to do that. Prepare your actual message, and also how to use the many resources that MSDC offers in terms of helping you create this message and network with your council member, or how to contact MSDC itself, and most importantly, tell all of your friends and colleagues to join in this effort as well. So the physician voice matters, and the council must hear from physicians and their staff. Lay politicians and those on the council may not really understand the impact that prior authorization has on not only our practices and our ability to do our jobs, but also the impact it has on our patients, and the physician and patient relationship depends on fixing this. The response needs to be overwhelming to pass the bill, and that's another reason why they must hear from each and every single one of us. And keep in mind that we all know prior authorization is a burden. 93% of physicians reported care delays because of prior authorization, and physicians and their staff spend an average of 13 hours per week on prior authorization. And that's not just time taken out of our own lives as physicians, but that's also about time that is taken away directly from our patients and our direct care for them. So we want to tell you how to locate your council members, and that's one of the most important things. So find your ward-specific council member at the DC Council website, www.dccouncil.us. And what you'll want to do is navigate to the very bottom of that page, and you will enter your address in the box, and email and telephone are in the left-hand margin. And that's going to be telling you everything you need to know about your ward-specific council member. But also keep in mind that anyone can contact the at-large council members, and you can access those members by going to dccouncil.us/council members, or go to the very top of that page and click on council members to access those members. So what are we wanting? What are we seeking? Well, we want to urge your council members to support B-24-6555, which is the Prior Authorization Reform Amendment Act. And for any of you that have council members on the Committee of Health, we also want to encourage them to schedule a hearing for the bill. And so when we think about preparing the message, there's some tips and data that are important when we think about that. So as far as general tips when interacting with politicians and our DC council members, of course, you want to be personable and honest. This needs to be about how this is impacting your practice, how it's impacting your patients. So definitely make it personable. Be respectful and polite. And being more on the brief side is always better than being more on the lengthy side. You want to make your points compelling, but also as succinct as possible. And one of the most important parts is that you want to leverage the patient's story and the real world impact this has on your ability to be the best doctor you can possibly be for your patients. So find a patient whose story resonated with you and who really spoke to the importance of eliminating these prior authorization burdens, or a story or situation in which those burdens significantly impacted your ability to provide the best care that you can, or to deliver that care. And definitely don't be afraid to mention, of course, all of the compelling data that we have, that more than 90% of physicians reported care delays because of this. More than 30% of physicians reported that prior authorization has led to a serious adverse event for patients, and that's certainly something you want to highlight in your personal story if you have that. As we've already said, physicians and their staff spend an average of 13 hours per week on prior authorization, and physicians complete an average of 41 prior authorizations per week. And certainly cost matters too. So for those of you who would find that compelling, the AMA has given data that more than $80,000 a year per physician on interactions with insurers is associated with the cost of prior authorization, and more than $2,000 to $3,000 annually per full-time equivalent physician is among the many cost burdens of prior authorization. This is some information you can find on the MSDC site, and we'll talk about some other resources that MSDC offers, but this is a full list of many of the talking points that we'd like to leverage when crafting our message to our council members. Other resources, so we do have the talking points that I just mentioned with the statistics on the impact of prior authorization. There are videos and how-tos available, including sample stories, links to our advocacy curriculum in general, so that all of you can become more engaged in advocacy initiatives with MSDC, patient and physician perspectives, and also templates, including sample language that will be coming soon in terms of a sample email that you can send or telephone script, and how to add personal stories. And always we are available by reaching out to us directly. You can email hey@msdc.org with any of your questions or concerns. And next steps, we want to know what you did. So contact us by using that same email address, hey@msdc.org, to let us know when you interact with your council member, the emails that you sent, the telephone calls that you've made, any responses that you've received from those efforts, anything that you want to highlight. Share with your friends. Encourage your colleagues to do the same, to reach out to their council members. Every council member, every at-large member needs to hear from their constituents. And also, don't be afraid to amplify all of this on social media. It has a much bigger impact than you might realize. So if you're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, any of them, post your message, post your accomplishments, and don't forget to use the hashtag #FixDC prior auth in order to highlight and connect all of those messages. And so in conclusion, you are essential in helping us move this forward. We cannot do this without you. Whether we like it or not, advocacy is a critical part of our jobs and our practices, and your council member and other elected officials are there to listen. So definitely take advantage of the opportunities you have to make your voice heard on behalf of our patients and our profession. So thank you again. Again, don't hesitate to email us, reach out with any questions or concerns. And thank you for advocating and helping us to make the district the best place in the country to practice medicine.